the Ondo State Development and Investment Promotion Agency was set up in 2015 as an instrument to enhance and showcase opportunities for investors looking to do business with the Southwest state. The head of the agency, Boye Oyewumi, joins me now to provide details on what has been achieved, what investors are being offered, and what strategies are on the card moving forward. We thank you for coming through from our studios. Good evening. Thank you, sir.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Let's start this conversation by looking at some of the milestones when we talk about economic and investment developments in Ondo State under the Akeredolu's administration.
Well, I think the first milestone is the setting up of the agency in October 2017. That for me was monumental, and that has been solely responsible for the advancements we have seen in the development index and the investment world. Having the political will of the governor to set up the agency, to drive it, and the governor being the chairman of the agency is a telling statement in itself of the political will to make it succeed. So we have a footprint. The first thing we did when we came into government was to make sure we are connected to the global economy of Lagos by the air link. So we're 30 minutes away from Lagos, 45 minutes away from Abuja. Without access, you cannot create market. So we created the access that will lead to the market, which is coming to the state.
Yeah, but again, well, 2017 perhaps is not too early, not too late to begin to ask you what the milestones are. So you've got the air transportation in, so you can fly in and out of Akure, which is the state capital, in 30 minutes from Lagos, 45 from Abuja, which is very critical. What else have you been able to put in place?
We'll put in place the one-stop shop, which is quite innovative and which has made a lot of difference. But in terms of we've put in a lot of infrastructure. I haven't realized that for every percentage of infrastructure, there's almost a 2% increase in GDP. So this government, more than any other government with the limited resources, has made sure that on the infrastructure stake, we've done a lot more mileage in terms of road, in terms of hospitals, in terms of schools. Those critical infrastructure, if you do them in the right quantum, they actually drive the economy forward. They make you an enviable investment destination. You create the enabling environment. We've provided security, and we've created a lot of jobs. We have recovered our positions as being the first in cocoa. We have the largest set of smallholder scheme in oil palm. Within the last 4 years, have dedicated 100,000 hectares for oil palm. I think we've issued, as the last count, 70,000 hectares for oil palm plantation. That takes us back into the #1 position. We're #1 in cassava, #2 or 3 in rubber. So we're #1 in cocoa. And apart from just being #1 in cocoa, we've had value addition where we now have the only cocoa chocolate producing factory owned by a subnational. So there's a lot of first in terms of the state. The state has now become an enviable investment destination because of the political will we have from the governor and the government, and it helps that we're also in the center. But above all, when you have a one-stop shop, you are a magnet for sound investors. When they come in, they're comfortable. They don't have to go through the rigors of going to different agencies or ministries. And you have the right set of people driving, people who are in the private sector mix with the right set of people in the public sector.
Who are you asking to come in? Are you looking for more local investors over international investors, or the dollar attraction is there for the state?
Well, our standards are, we're benchmarking ourselves with other countries, not other subnationals, because you have to raise the bar. But we're looking for both local and international investors, and we have a myriad of them. I'll give you an example. In the oil palm sector, we have investors who are local, and we have the investors who are international. We have local investors for our egg factory. We have a powderized egg factory, which is the largest and the only one in sub-Saharan Africa, which is the capacity for 1 million eggs that will be delivered in Q2, end of Q2. Now, there are no foreign investors in that. That's a joint venture between the state and a local investor. We have foreign technical partners from Belgium, but all investment doesn't have to be offshore. A lot of people within the country are actually keen on investing in Ondo State. And I think with the issues worldwide or globally, it makes a lot of sense to look inwards because people can't even travel now anyway. So what we're doing is you can't come, so we either go to you or we pitch you to come if you are in country. And it's working out. A lot of our investments are internally generated investors.
Ondo State has a whole lot in agriculture, but aside agriculture, where else are you looking at investors to pitch in? What are you putting on the table?
Well, first thing we put on the table, of course, yes, we have a lot to offer beyond being an agrarian society. We, as a subnational, we have the largest deposit of bitumen in Africa. We'll probably be number 3 in the world outside Canadians and Venezuela. So we have a lot. We have gold. We have, we have limestone, a lot with 93% purity. We have tar sand. We have silver. So we have a lot. But above all, this government is not even so focused on what lies beneath the surface. We're also very interested in what is on top. That is developing the human capital of people in Ondo State, because that's quite important. Because if you have all the mineral resources under the ground, but you don't have the prerequisite human resource to extract, to take the opportunities when they come, then what you have is capital flight. So we're developing the human capital capacity of people in the state so that they can take advantage. Because when investors come, what they bring is actually fund and capacity. But once you have the capacity in-house, you would somehow, some way, attract the funding. Like our bitumen project, the major investor in that is actually local, is a Nigerian. So it's the capacity that he has that has made him to sort of attract funding offshore. So if you have local capacity, you find that you would equally compete with the foreigners. So that for us is quite important. We've seen that distinction so that we can build our subnational capacities, not just a dumping ground for foreign investors.
I'm interested. What about ease of doing business? Let's talk about that. How easy is it to do business in Ondo State?
Well, those are one of the bragging rights of this administration. That's a very good question, actually. When we came in, we were number 36. I mean, that means we're propping everybody else up.
On 36 on the ranking?
Yeah, we were low, pretty low. But now the last count, we were number 8. That's not good enough. We're aiming to go to where Lagos or Kaduna is. But we're happy that we're making the progress, because once you have the right things in place, you climb up the ladder. This is an agency that was set up 4 years ago, and we've moved from number 36 to number 8. So we're sure in another year or two we'll be better placed.
You're also an oil-producing state, so you're enjoying the derivation formula. So you got some money, but you want some oil companies in. Are you interested in the extractive industry beyond minerals in hydrocarbon, oil and gas?
With 50,
or maybe you're building your own refinery.
No. So we're more interested in people coming to invest. I don't necessarily believe, and the governor and the government doesn't believe that we're primed for investors in terms of we start operating refineries or factories. That's not what the government.
You don't want the government. Governor Credo doesn't want to be in business, but he wants to make money.
No, see, you leave business for the businessmen. The job of any sensible government would be to create an enabling environment, the infrastructure that drives. You be a magnet for investors. You cannot be the investor. I mean that's incongruous, because you have a lot of social responsibility you have to provide. I think we should focus on that. Do a bit of health, a bit of education, a bit of road infrastructure, security. When you put the quantum of that together, you see there's a dynamic reaction that investors would come. Those are the things, the rule of law, the compliance with contracts. Those are the things that allow us or have enabled us climb up the ladder. That's what we should focus on. Those are electoral promises. We didn't go to the electorate saying we're going to run factories or industries. So we try not to get involved in that. When we even go into business to set up like the egg powder, we are going to divest ourselves from it eventually. So that's just like stimulating a particular sector, but we don't intend to build a monument to it and start running it. That's not the right way to do it.
Interesting, your horizon, but in terms of the investment that you have under management right now, how big is your portfolio? Give me a figure.
It goes to hundreds of millions of dollars in the last 4 years. Hundreds of millions, easily. When I mean hundreds, I mean almost $1 billion worth of investments that's come into the state. And they're still coming in. But the roughest part of any building is the piling. Like I give you an example today, we did flag off 2 property investments, one in Ikoyi and one in Victoria Island. That we added today 4.5 billion naira to the state assets. Now those are investments that have come in. They might look small, but those are annual annuities. Their income will be annual annuities for generations unborn. So we think we're doing the right things in terms of, I'll give you one or two projects. We have a 10,000 hectares by, maybe I should have mentioned the name of the investor, you might not want that, in somewhere in Ore. Now, that will create about 10,000 jobs. The total amount of money invested in that is about 10 billion. And that is one out of the 70,000 hectares that we have given out so far. So we're talking about 70 billion naira investment in just in the oil palm sector. We have increased our tonnage in terms of cocoa production. We have the 15,000 hectares cassava to ethanol. That's a joint venture with OBAX and NAPC. That's about $300 million worth of investment. So we have a myriad of investments scattered around the state. Presently, we have 30 projects going on at different level of completion. So there's a lot of money that's coming to the state. Retention, yes, is also going on, and we're trying to consolidate on what we've started. So just to make sure that we're able to deliver on these projects.
I know a bit more on your forward-looking strategies moving forward. Times are pretty hard. Oil price is high, it keeps going down. There's so much volatility down there, and then you can't really depend on what you call the FAC allocation anymore. So I'm beginning to get worried that maybe at some point pretty soon you two will be able to stand. Maybe you don't really settle the federal government. We don't need the FAC.
Well, the FAC should just be the icing on the cake. It shouldn't really be the cake. But what you find in most states. But I think we have enough gumption upstairs. I mean, we've got good cerebral content in the cabinet and in the governor, and we do realize that, yes, times have changed. For example, like I said earlier, we're in Lagos today to commission 2 7-story building in Victoria Island and residential properties in Ikoyi. Now, that's diversification of our asset base. That's diversification into real estate. In a place like Lagos. We have a lot in Abuja. We have a lot in Abuja. Currently, we have a lot already in Abuja. Talking of, in the billions of naira when you quantify that. And the fact that we are regaining our position as number 1 in the oil palm sector is the diversification. Oil palm is nothing to do with oil and gas. The fact that we're number 1 in cassava means that we have a lot of money coming in from there. We're number 1 in cocoa. Like I said, there's also forward integration where we're now producing our chocolates, which are in ShopRite and other malls now. So the state in itself, but above all, the most important thing for us really, yes, we have extractive minerals, we're an agrarian society, is the development of the human capital. If once you develop, there are many countries in this world that don't have any extractive minerals, and they're doing very well. So until and unless you get that right, there are many states in the South that are awash with oil, but you don't see them in the development index. You don't see them at the level they should be, because if you don't get the balance between extractive and human capital development, I think you actually have a negative development, because it leads to social, ills. So that is one of the reasons why Ondo State is the most peaceful of the Niger Delta states. In fact, most people don't even know Ondo State is part of Niger Delta states. So so most people don't, because we're not an educationally disadvantaged state, but we're not where we want to be. So we're really, really ramping up so that our graduates and people who leave school at any level can compete globally. Those are the thresholds that we're trying to attain. We're not interested in local standards, because that does not prepare you for what is coming.
Interesting, so much you're doing. I want to ask if you Please. Think you'll be needing debt capital market support for some of the projects you're working on moving forward.
That's a tricky one, because if you go for development finance in foreign currency, you're going to get exposed. Mm-hmm. If it's something local, single digits, yes. But anything offshore, we're not very keen, because you would have to collateralize it one way or the other. And it's not fair for generations unborn if you mortgage their destinies with finance that you're not able to pay for.
So Governor Akeredolu and yourself not interested in piling up more debt for those states?
No, it's not in our script. That's not what we promised them. Definitely, that's a no. I mean, every state is struggling now just to put the social amenities on the table. So you can't be short-term about it, where you go and get more development finance at rates that you are not going to be able to service.
So you're smart, trying to use what you have to get what you want.
I think that's the only way out. You can't live on borrowed ropes, because sooner or later the owner of the ropes will come and ask for them.
Who goes are borrowing, goes are sorrowing.
It's as simple as that. I like
It's
the way
nice
you put
having
it.
you here dinner time. Nice
Thank you
speaking
very
with
much.
and
It's
we wish
very
you all
kind
the
of you.
best. And the governor, Akeredolu in Ondo State. Boye Oyewumi, the vice chairman and the CEO of the Ondo State Development Investment Promotion Agency.